So you see that guy to my right. This is his fault. But it's become sort of a tradition now in the Cuppa family because we're on episode 13. You think we know better, but we don't. We're even fashionably late. But yeah, here we are, episode 13. Welcome everyone to the Cuppa The Day podcast. You might have been expecting Nualaoch today, but unfortunately he's not feeling too well. I have taken his spot, so I'm sorry to disappoint, but you're going to have to deal with me today. And you're also going to have to deal with the two people to my left, I'm guessing. The two lovely gentlemen to my left, Xephyr and Tobal, and we'll kind of go through each. Xephyr, this is your second appearance on the podcast.
Second time. Last time I got to talk about the Trackmania of a decade ago, which is my favorite topic.
Yeah, we've brought Xephyr, as I call him, Chris, out of the background and into the limelight once again, and we've also brought Tobal, who I am going to be referring to as Ben. But yeah, Ben, can you introduce yourself and who you are?
Well, hello everyone. First off, since it's my first time, Babz already said it. You can call me Ben. Everyone, you can. I'm from Germany, so kind of invading the British Irish community here a little bit. People don't really know me outside of the ice community, I believe, but I did kind of not make it alone, but I kind of helped in making Team Split, which I believe the majority of people are much more likely to know.
I think a lot of people in the BITM community will know Split as the Hendo team.
Yes.
If in case you're worried about any of that, but yeah, Ben is going to be joining us on the hosting panel today, and in the near future as well. But I think we've delayed long enough. It's time to bring on our guest, the man everybody's been waiting for. It is the new coach of Big. It is Amaterasu. And
hello.
Welcome, Ama. Vinke, Vinke.
Vinke. Boah, what an introduction.
I mean, a deserved introduction. First of all, how are you on this fine summer's evening?
Good. I had a disaster with my tires earlier. Other than that, pretty good.
Tires in game or?
No, out of game, sadly.
Okay, no worries. But hopefully we'll have no disasters here tonight. I mean, let's get straight into the topics. We're a little bit delayed, so we won't delay any further. But yeah, Amma, can you give us a short introduction about who you are within the community, how you got into Trackmania, and what your current role is?
Well, I started in like 2009. I don't even know how I got into I'm pretty sure we had it in on school PCs back then, and we always played in school breaks. And then I tried it home and kind of enjoyed it and wanted to beat all my school friends, the usual. And then just played more and more and more and more until I got addicted, I guess. And now I'm here coaching for Big. I don't know how that happened, but yes.
I hope you know how it happened, because we are going to be asking you some questions about that.
I gotta say, I mean, I was interested in knowing, because we're looking for a coach and we haven't been successful yet.
Yeah, because it's an interesting topic, I think, to commence with. So, Amma, you're the new coach of Big. I think you were introduced right before stage 2, wasn't it?
Yes.
The Big roster in brackets. But can you kind of tell us how that happened, how that came about?
Apparently, internally at Big, they were thinking about it before stage 1 already, and reached out to some people, but no one was really interested, and they weren't sure if it's even a good thing for them. So they just went on with the season, and the season didn't go too well, So the management basically asked again if maybe a coach would be a good thing, and Massa was very open to it, because he comes also from Counter-Strike background, and there's just normal that you have someone who does either management work or whatever. And so they asked me, and I'm I mean, why not? Let's just do it.
Yeah, and it's an interesting topic for many reasons. One of those being that a lot of World Tour teams haven't chosen to take a coach. I mean, the slot is open there, but a lot of people haven't chosen to fill it. Why do you think that may be big as an organization, and why Granady and Massa kind of wanted to pick, first of all, a coach, and why it ended up being you?
Well, first, why they got one is just because they want to try it. And actually, it was like in the rules for like World Tour or World Cup that you have to have a coach, even though like they got rid of that rule now. But at the beginning of the rule book, it was in there. So they just, like reached out to one, and then maybe it can work. And I guess we did a good season, so it might have worked.
Well, we'll get onto that in a little bit, because there have been some changes, and I wanted to ask Xephyr, because you're somebody who knows Amma a little bit better than me, I'd say. And what do you make of the whole situation with Amma being introduced to a Grand League team as a coach?
My initial reaction was that it would be very chaotic having Amma and Massa in the same call, which Amma called me out for. But it sounds like it's working really well, especially given Big's performance in Stage 1, performance in Stage 2. My curiosity is, how does that work? What are you allowed to do during matches? Are you there giving shot calls, or is it like Counter-Strike where you're only allowed to talk in timeouts? Are you even involved at all, or is it more like an admin and between match kind of thing?
I am not allowed to talk during the round, only like in warm-ups and map switches. So I'm not actually calling, which I think is a good thing, but I don't know, I guess some people would disagree. And
I mean,
also, like for me, my job would be like more important in a sense if I would be allowed to call, obviously. But I think we have very good like chemistry and like a way of calling that we just like. Obviously, I don't know how the other teams call, but I think we do it very good. So I think we're like one of the better teams at doing that. So it would just like maybe like nerf us a bit. I'm happy with how it is right now.
I was gonna say, do you get to talk between maps?
Yes. I'm allowed to talk like after the map, in warm up, also during the tag things, obviously, which is like just longer warm up. And yeah, just not during the round.
Okay. Is that something that they had a problem with last season in terms of mentality between maps and carrying, maybe negativity from one map to another, and that's something that you've improved, or?
One thing we changed was like for last season, Massa was doing majority of the calls, but now we like changed that up, and Granady is like the main caller, other than identities, because Massa puts cars on before identities, so Massa calls there. Also, like who crashes, because he has cars on and usually sees it. It's just like a better or like instant calling more than like waiting for the CP. And during the whole map, just Granady calls. And some maps we don't even call. Like easy maps, we just like shut the fuck up and play.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Do you think, because I don't really hear about too many people playing with cars on, do you think it gives them like a big advantage, or does the kind of like having the other cars on kind of, which could distract you, kind of make up for it? Do you think it's an advantage being able to play with cars on?
It's 100% an advantage. Like 100%. Like the instant feedback is so good. Like we won so many like close rounds just because of that, where Massa was like could instantly call safe like halfway through the identity. Where we just, I don't know. I think it's a huge advantage if people like are able to do that.
If you can do it.
Yeah,
that's
obviously.
the key point.
Yeah, if you put cars on and make mistakes on, your own, it's kind of bad, but he doesn't do that. So.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Massa is one of the more veteran players that we still have at the top tier level. And back in the day, I mean, Chris and Amma, you'll be able to tell me better, but then you have to play competitions with cars on, some of them at least.
Oh yes, especially LAN tournaments back then.
Mm.
You always had like forced cars on, and I know Cuppa used to play when TMGL was still 6-lappers. Cuppa also played like full cars on, as far as I know. So I know
in
some
the
players
16
can
player
do.
matches.
Yes, as far as I know, he did.
Okay.
But I
it
guess you
might
turn on.
it might be a rumor, and someone lied, but I'm pretty sure he did.
I guess it makes sense. You can turn it on like midway through, probably when the field is separated a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah.
you can see how that can work, and I wonder if any players would consider that, because it would be an advantage of any players who currently don't play with cars on might consider even practicing, during scrims and stuff, and getting that live feedback. Because I can imagine there's still some teams who are struggling with the calling and how their dynamic works since being paired in as a duo. The first pair that comes to mind is G1, just because their form kind of seems a little bit erratic. One match they can really perform, and then another one it might not be as good. Yeah, I'm wondering if there's some things to pick up from your guys' work over at Big that others can implement into their training.
I mean, I hope they don't, but
Gotta keep
And,
the advantage on the house.
Yeah, and
Okay.
since we're on the topic of TMGL, I just wanted to go over this stage too, because it's been a stark improvement from stage one. Stage one was actually quite disappointing, I guess, for a lot of people. I mean, the players included. But stage two kicked off with a bang, 4 wins in a row. Maybe a slightly unlucky end to the season, but how would you review your guys' season as a whole?
It was very good, in my opinion, so far. I mean, the job is not finished, obviously. We have an important weekend coming up, but so far, like, just objectively speaking, I think we had like the best season out of all the teams. Like, we had no off match.
Mm.
Like, the losses were like 3-4, and the wins were like wins. Like, we always performed and never had like one of those like low lows and then high highs. It's just always on like a normal level. So I'm performance wise, I'm very happy. Like, obviously that we lost 2 matches, which kind of cost us the top 2 at the end, is a bit sad, but can't do much about it.
Oh, sorry, is that me lagging out here, or is that what is that?
I think
Yeah,
so.
we've lost your
It's
webcam.
fine.
Oh, cool. I'll
You're
be
back.
trying to fix that. I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, back.
I won't touch anything then. Yeah, as I said, so this is not. I'm not at home, so my internet might do that once or twice. I hope it doesn't do that any more than this, because that would be not cool. But my bad.
That's okay. Because I was gonna say about those first few matches of Big, looking at them, as you were saying, the wins were wins, like they were convincing. It was almost like throughout the maps and rounds, like Granady and Massa were holding hands. Like when they had a good round, they both had a good round. And I think that's something compared to stage one, probably, and you can confirm this. Maybe it felt like stage one matches, Massa would have an on day, and then Granady would have an off day, and then vice versa, and it would kind of come and go. Whereas this one, both players really performed a really quite a high level.
Well, I don't think like we perform at a like high level. We just perform like we usually do. Like, may it be practice or warm up or whatever. Like, we always try to like take it full serious and perform. But so there's like, when I look at the matches and we win, it's not like I think they played exceptionally, because I saw it like 10 times before. Like, it's just like normal day in the office kind of thing. And compared to last stage, there's like one interesting stat actually, where someone did the like math on, what was it, identity success rate, and like every TMGL players was at like 80% plus, except like Afi was at like somewhat 90s, which like 91 or something, which was crazy high. And Massa was at 67%. He was like 13% off the second last guy.
Oh.
So yeah,
I mean,
I
We
can't
knew
remember
what we had to
map it
fix.
was. There was a map last season. I think the jumps onto the plastic pipes at the end, the identity.
Arrow pipes.
Yeah. Massa seemed to be winning every round on that in the matches that I watched up until the identity. So
Yes.
that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So like the matches were close last season for us. We lost a bunch of 3-4s. So if like there's like a slightly better success rate at identities, we probably win like quite a few more matches. Which apparently we did this season.
Yeah, it's something that can really go either way. I mentioned this in multiple episodes prior. Is like the way like TMGL works. You can't draw. You can only win or you can lose, which feels quite harsh at some points because you can have some really good performances and just lose out by one round, and suddenly the other team has got the points and you haven't. And I actually wanted to get your opinion on this. Do you think there might be a need for a reformatting of how the point system works and how the league table works?
I like the point system and how the like actual match goes. I'm just like, in my opinion, we need more matches. Like, I don't know, like double the amount at least, maybe even more. Like the amount of practice we do on the maps compared to like actual stage matches is like, I don't know, it's not balanced at all. Especially when I'm like in the office in Berlin and all the other teams like League team or CSGO teams there, and you see like they have, I don't know, the CSGO team is crazy. They have like 5 hours of like individual practice or scrims, and then they have like 5 hours of live matches after. And then there's us. We practice for like 5 hours, and then we're like, maybe we do have a practice match after or not. And then it's like one live match which goes like a bit over an hour, and then it's like done for the week.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know. It's like, especially also I think ITB struggled kind of with that, because once you're like on the match day, whatever like the circumstances, and you don't perform, like it gets in your head instantly, and you're like,
I mean,
not as confident on the next match day and whatnot, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's not balanced because you do so well in practice, and then one match is off, and you're like, yeah, off on nothing kind of.
You have to wait a whole week for an opportunity to put it right.
Yep.
Evidently, it kind of got into their into the Breach's kind of mindset a little. Oh well.
Yeah. Well, Alcon dropping out. I mean, we talked to Bren about this last week. I mean, you as somebody who sees the workings of a team behind the scenes, it seems like this decision obviously came from Alcon, who was maybe enjoying the game a little less. But like, a lot of people see this this version of like Tier 1 of Trackmania is this TMGL format. And seeing Elcon and players like that drop out doesn't do anything to help the attractiveness for players or even for viewers. Just talking about like TM World Tour as a whole, considering maps format the whole year even, how do you think this first kind of iteration of it has gone?
I would say like it's somewhat of a success, I would say. Like obviously there's still things that needs like fine tuning and some things gotta change. But overall I feel like we have like a healthy-ish ecosystem with like the whole TMCL and regionals. You basically have like a path to like pro play in a way, which is very good in my opinion at least.
I mean, one thing I would like to add. Maybe I'm too much of a Zoomer player for this, but I feel sometimes, for me at least, the maps could be a little shorter than they are at the moment. But that might just be personal preference in this case.
I know my players wouldn't like that. Like they would probably like even longer maps.
I feel like you could take the last 10-15 seconds off them.
Yeah, on some maps you can.
That would work.
Nah, like I know my players enjoy longer maps. They also like I literally made a request to Evo for the LAN if they could like maybe up the map limit or like the max map limit a bit, because my players were like a bit, like not too happy about how it was with like 45 to 55 seconds or something. I don't remember exactly. So I'm sure they, or like majority of the TMGL players, like the longer maps. But for like regionals, I think SRK is also working on it, that we have like different kind of maps. So maybe they will shorten in a way. I don't exactly know.
I think
I mean-
the maps are it's all. I think the maps is it has always been a talking point, and will continue to be no matter the way they are. But I feel at the moment there's still some progress to be made on that side. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned XP Evo, the LAN that is organized by Evo, which is coming up in September, I believe, is it?
September in Cologne.
Yeah, September in Cologne, in Germany, which you guys will be able to tell me about. But it's the second time it's coming. This time it's called XP Evo. Previously it was called Arcadia, and I believe it was held in Hamburg. And you mentioned about your players going to. Are they setting the XP Evo LAN as one of their main targets for the second half of the year?
Depends on World Cup schedule. Like if it's during World Cup like preparation, we probably won't put a high priority on it. But if it's free-ish, then obviously we will. And it's a LAN in Germany, so obviously we will attend. But the try hard level probably depends on World Cup.
And Xephyr,
I will play.
I thought about.
Are you gonna play?
About...
What do you mean if?
Well, for me, I know for sure I'll go, and I know for sure I'll get myself the VIP tickets. But if I'm gonna play or not, depends on how much ice the maps have, honestly.
I'm map testing for it, so maybe I just download every ice map.
How nice of you. I
Yes.
see we're gonna become good friends.
unlucky any ice players who are planning on going to XP Evo. I guess a follow-up question, since you are going to be taking part, Amma, are you full focus on that? Are you full try hard on that? Because I know
I
some people behind the
try.
scenes are. Yeah.
I try. My plan is yes, but at the end, if there's World Cup preparation, I can't do much, because then my job is obviously more important than my personal success on the LAN. So if I'm free, I will try hard. If not, I'll just go and play and have fun. At the end, it's just also less about the competition, more like meeting the people. So
yeah, me and the team on Split, we're planning to though they are planning to compete, we're mainly planning to kind of take this as a meeting, meet up, and probably go drink at some good German bars. That's the plan.
no, good enough. I'm gonna look forward to you guys.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be looking forward to a lot of other people. Because just as a personal note on our side, the BITM community are going to have a strong representation from what I've heard at the LAN. And I'm expecting some pretty good performances from them. But I wanted to ask you, Amma, from the people that you know who are going to compete, or do you have any idea that maybe you've been thinking of, oh, this person could really show up at this LAN, or do you have any favorites?
Obviously, just depends how many Team GL players show up.
Yeah.
Because they are a different level. It's actually amazing how good they are. And other than that, Feed won it the last time, so I guess he will show up strong again. The French are always scary because if they come, they are prepared. There's no half-assing. They're just, listen, if we show up at the LAN, we put in the hours before. So all the Frenchies are gonna be scary. And I don't know who's gonna join from the British. thing yet. So
I feel like
I
more
don't
of
know.
us are going
Someone,
to the Netherlands next month
yeah,
than we'll
Vinky
end up
told me
going to
about
XP
it.
Evo.
Yeah, Vinky asked if I joined the Dutch LAN.
Will you be?
No.
Ah, that's a shame.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
speaking of British players that are going to be at XPevo, like maybe a bad example, but Ice player Bagels will probably be there. If he's going to play or not, I don't know. And how good he's on mixed, I don't particularly know either. But so that's one player that's definitely going to play from the British Irish side.
Yeah, I think probably
So
multiple players to look out for. Just names off the top
Yeah.
of my head would be Ecos, or I think Wizzy was considering going. Be interesting to see him come up against some of the TMGL players who would attend. I wanted to talk about LANs in general because you talked about having a competitive ecosystem, and that it's finally good to have that kind of with World Tour this year. And this is the second iteration of the Evo LAN. You know, the Gamax LAN has been has had a few iterations now. It feels like a kind of a rebirth of Trackmania on LAN, and like, how do you see this progressing in the future, and will these events kind of become staples every year for people to attend?
I guess it just depends if like the whole line is gonna be like profitable for like the higher people, because otherwise it just wouldn't make sense to organize it, I guess. But yeah, I guess it's gonna be like a somewhat staple. Like we have the XP Evo now, second time. There's Gamax the second or third time even.
Oh, this is the second one, I think.
It's the second one. Then we
The
have
third time, because it's the third time. I think it's been called something different each time. But the first one was just the Dutch guys. The second one was with some other people, notably some of the BITM guys, and then this is the third iteration.
yes. I whatever. Second or third, we have pretty sure the like the Baltic land, the comic things will come again.
Oh, that's cool.
At least that was in
all the
talks.
French lands as well. Your Insulan.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, GA. What else? I mean, Ascension, but it's not like public. So,
That's
I
more
don't
of a
know if there's
show.
more. Yeah, but still, you know,
Yeah.
it's an offline event, so I'm very happy to see it, and I want more, honestly. Like,
I mean, I'm personally very very happy to see more and more LANs in the Trackmania kind of competitive scene, because I feel like having LAN tournaments is kind of what differentiates an esports title that is kind of a smaller title which only has online tournaments to the bigger esports title. And so I feel like going into World Tour, this, if they could probably manage to get LAN a little more in there, then that would probably help Trackmania as well. But that's expensive.
yeah, it would be like my dream would be we have the whole TMGL playoffs on LAN. That would be so sick. And just like also obviously World Cup on LAN, and I don't know what you guys might be cooking at the British things, but I know Chris wants to host one or wanted.
Yeah. The keyword that you used earlier was profitable, or not even necessarily profitable, just not a money sink. We really want to do it, but we want to make it so that it doesn't harm us in any way.
I mean, event organization in and of itself is usually a money sink, especially on the smaller scale events. So, a little bit of a money sink is expected, but you obviously gotta watch out, especially with the LAN tournaments. Getting the venue and everything is often so much more expensive that you need some way to make money on it.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a money sink is expected, I think. Small amount, but yeah, we just don't want it to end up being crazy expensive.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Arcadia made profit as far as I know.
Yes,
it closed down.
I think so.
Yeah, the thing closed down, but like the whole event itself, at least, was profitable.
Okay.
for them at least. Like, yes, the hotel closed down, but the actual Trackmania event was apparently good for them. So
I mean, once you get the actual people interested in it, first off, willing to pay for the tickets, and the venue that is actually willing to host all of the people, then yes, you as the organizer can make money, but you also have to think you have to pay the people from the venue. Possibly you have to pay them up front, which is very expensive. So not only do you sink some money into it before you even get into getting any of the people to even attend the event, it's also just unclear. You need to actually get the people to be interested, so you need to advertise it a bit. I mean, quite a bit.
And it's difficult to know
Get
what level of
people talking.
interest you're going to get up front. So planning the scale and all that's really difficult. Also, something that we've always tried to do as a community is kind of do the right thing in terms of paying casters and producers. And what we'd love to do is also be able to pay mappers for our events and tournaments. So the problem we have is that's also an additional cost, because some events probably don't pay their casters. It's probably like a voluntary thing. But we want to make sure we do everything in the absolute best way possible, which is difficult with a game of our size, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Also, don't mind who just walked in the background of my webcam. He has brought me a cup of tea, so very nice. Well, what I want to say is that when I was organizing splits, first events with split tag teams, I also thought about paying the mappers, but the event itself, the prize pool and everything, since it was paid completely out of pocket by the guys at Split, wasn't really in the realm of possibilities. But I'm considering it for future events, probably.
Yeah, it's something.
Sorry, I was going to say, don't get me wrong, the initial BIPC, it wasn't a lot. I think it was 40 euros per person. But that's grown slightly from the league we hosted in November, and then the cup that we just ran. That went up a little bit. So we're trying to do the right thing, and we're getting there.
Yeah, I think that's what it mainly is. You try to be sustainable, because if you're hosting these events every single month, you need to find some funds. I know probably a lot of players would say that they would compete just as hard, even if there was no prize pool, but it does give some sort of incentive, especially for those high tier players. And one little interesting thing of note, just to finish on XP Evo, is that the talent lineup was just announced by Evo themselves. And our very own Nualaoch, who isn't with us today, is one of the casters. So anybody who's going to the LAN will be able to meet Nua for the first time, and hopefully, have a very good time as well.
Yeah, I got invited, or VS Bake got invited the other day, like the official invitation. So we're all gonna be there.
So everybody look out for Alma, everybody look out for Nua, and any other people that you'd be looking forward to going see, whether it's in the Netherlands, whether it's XP Evo, something really to look forward to. I'm hoping I can get to one of, a LAN in the near future to meet everybody as well. And one LAN that somebody is going to, and who's going to meet a lot of people as well, is Granady going to Ascension. And this is a topic I really wanted to bring up, because he is the only non-Francophone player who has qualified for Paris, and he's going to be surrounded by Frenchness. First of all, just like, how did this happen?
What do you mean? How did it happen? my guy clutched it.
How could he possibly beat the French players? Is the question.
I don't know. He had the match of his life. I don't know if you guys seen it, but he dominated. Like his final match, he played so well, and on the map he actually clutched it out. I was a bit worried while watching, because I know his pace wasn't the greatest on it. Bren was driving consistently 140 and 141s, while Granady's PB was 144 or something. So I wasn't I don't know, I wasn't too sure if he could do it. And then he just does a 2-second PB in the final round, and qualifies while Bren made a mistake, and yeah, just his hard work paid off.
So did you watch the whole qualifiers like throughout the day?
Yeah, I did.
Because it's something I was, because that day I remember I had a very long night the night before. I woke up quite late, and I was so happy to have Ascension that was there that I could watch all day. For anybody who didn't follow it, basically Granady is now qualified for one of the lands in Paris, and only 16 players have qualified. Now 1,000 people registered to take part, so you can imagine getting from 1,000 people down to 16 is quite the task. And they had multiple rounds. I think it was 7 rounds in total of qualifying, where a certain amount of players would be eliminated each time, mostly done in a rounds format across various maps. And Granady excelled in this sort of survival of the fittest exercise throughout the day. And he was actually the last qualifier match to play. I remember feeling quite bad for him because he finished his earlier matches like at 4 or 5 o'clock, and then he was playing at like 10 o'clock that evening. I don't know if you were there, if you were talking to him during that day, but how much did you felt going into that last qualifier?
I didn't really talk too much. Like we chatted a bit, but he was like streaming the whole day, and in between was like talking a bit to Lars and Massa, who were also playing.
Yeah.
But the only thing I did was just like texting here and there, just chatting, trying to keep the mood up. And like he was a bit worried that the last match like was gonna be late. But we've had plenty of like TMGL matches or like practice matches at that time, and he did well in them. So I just like reassured him that he can play that late and do well, you know.
And in our previous episode with Bren, I made a bold claim saying that I thought that Massa was going to win the whole thing, all of Ascension, and I was very naive. But because his performance in the first qualifiers, I mean, I don't want to say was disappointing, but I think when he did go out, he understood he had a bad start to his match, and it didn't really get any better from there. Yeah, it's kind of contrasting experience compared to what Granady had.
Yeah, the thing is also like I feel like the maps come more natural to Granady than Massa, so Massa has to put in like more effort. And I am quite sure like he didn't put like the absolute best amount of effort. He probably could have done more. But it's also more like I guess since it's the first qualifier, he's like, yeah, let's just like test around, let's see, you know, how much he actually has to do to like compete or actually qualify. So for the next one, he's for sure gonna be ready. But yeah, I also knew he had some like maps he didn't really enjoy and like some off maps, which doesn't help when you know like get them at the start of the match and you just like basically start at a disadvantage. Which obviously
It's
is
the whole
like
pack, isn't it? The whole pack of maps.
Yeah, nah, he had some very good maps. He was smurfing on some like, but like every match had like what 7 maps, 6 maps out of the like 13.
Yeah.
So
The tournament has 13 maps.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And speaking of the maps, I wasn't fully able to follow this, so I looked at the results of the qualifiers. What were the maps like generally?
Oh, they were for sure maps. But I don't know, like I wouldn't enjoy the maps too much because they're like very like lol-ish compared with like parts that are just way too hard. Like there's one map he just like puts a very basic map on. Everybody drives the same pace, and then there's like a minute of dodging signs at the end.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know. Like it's not my taste, but I think from a like spectating POV that can be really cool. Also there's like one map, which basically you drive on like some wheels, tires, which is like the main sponsor of the whole event, which is in my opinion, a really cool way to like sponsor things. If you're like have actually your like product in the game and people like the people drive on it and whatnot. Like for future sponsors, that can be very attractive. So I think that's a good way to actually showcase what is possible in the game. Even though I don't personally enjoy it, I think the whole thing can be or will be a big success.
I'm honestly surprised that it hasn't been done more in more tournaments with sponsors. It's not
Yeah, I mean,
difficult to create in-game items. There's a whole bunch of people in the community that
Yes.
can do it, and it's such an easy way to permanently have, not even just logos, but products visible in a map. Not even just on an overlay or during a be right back screen between maps or something.
Yeah, but like, how do you get like sponsors to know that? You know, it's kind of, I don't know, like, how is a sponsor like gonna see that beforehand, other than like being actually involved already? That
Yeah,
you know
the
that it's
case studies,
possible.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one big thing is just first off, more people actually doing it. With how accessible custom items are in Trackmania and like creating them, I can't do it, but more than enough people can. I think it's just a matter of time before it becomes like a thing that happens in all of the events with sponsors, that you have sponsor signs, 3D signs, even, or custom items that get driven on before it just becomes a thing in sponsored events.
Yeah, I think that's one of the highlights I've taken from this Ascension, and maybe a good coming from a negative is I've been able to follow Massa's streams quite a bit when he is practicing Ascension, and and it does bring out a part of him where he's like he sees the good in the events and then thinks like, why does World Tour not have this? And there was actually a few clips that I shared from his stream to people behind the scenes, like organizing events myself, just being like, yeah, that's a great point what Massa is saying here, or whatever he's saying there. And one of them is exactly what you said, having an in-game item actually like from one of the sponsors. It just feels like Trackmania is such a perfect hunting ground for sponsors and should be like really adaptable for these sorts of events. And it just hasn't been done yet. So yeah, once again, Zerator kind of leading the way with what should be done in certain aspects, at least in competitive Trackmania. So yeah, I mean, I think that covers kind of Ascension, except for one last thing is that Granady is going to this land in Paris, and can we have any sort of expectations from him about his potential performance?
Well, we still have the World Tour thing, so it's kind of hard to like manage both.
Yeah.
Since it's like 23 maps, and yeah, 23 maps, and like basically be ready on them throughout the whole month is a hard task. So we'll see how well he actually does, but I'm just glad my guy got there. And if he doesn't like qualify for the like main thing, which is gonna be in Montpellier, if I remember correctly, there's still gonna be another qualifier where he will probably also gonna do well, and then with like full focus on it and not juggling between two tournaments.
Yeah, I'm expecting that second LAN, or at least the qualifiers for it, to be extremely competitive. I mean, these first ones were for sure, but the second one, I'm expecting a lot of people to turn up from the first one, and then additional people also. Like I know Pac is likely to take part in the second one, maybe because he didn't have time for the first one. But yeah, that's going to be an incredible fight to try and qualify for that one.
Well, I mean, after the first qualifiers are over, everyone kind of knows what pace to get. And of course, I think the people that are like at that top level of Trackmania, they will aim to beat the pace they've seen before. And it's going to be very interesting to see just how much that affects actual average round times, I think.
Yeah, I think the only issue with that is that there's new maps, I think, for the second event. And then I think for the third event, it might be like the best maps from stage 1, stage 2 of Ascension, I guess, that will be selected. At least that's what I've understood from it. But yeah, I think that's enough about Ascension. I wanted to continue kind of on stage 2 and look ahead to the playoffs for Big, because it has been a much better stage for you guys, and it would be really nice to crown it with a good solid weekend of playoff action. How are you guys feeling ahead of that?
Pretty good, I would say. Like, we are well aware that, as I said earlier, I think we performed the best out of all the teams. So we're like, our confidence is there. I think we're very good on like almost all the maps, and some we just lack some match practice, which again would like we would benefit if we would have more matches. But other than that, I think we're ready. So
Do you think you're
I'm
ready
gonna
to
look
take
forward
on
to
the
it.
big teams?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
There's like, I don't know, I haven't seen a team with like a performance that's like scary. Like scary.
Mhm.
Like some teams had like scary maps. Like what was it? The Solary Casey match, especially Vortex, was like very strong, was like by far the best in the whole season on the map. But like it's one map. It's whatever. And we can surely match that as well. It's just, I don't know, no team looks scary. So nothing to be scared of. Still gotta respect them.
Do
I
you
mean,
think
I gotta say with
go ahead. You go ahead.
no, with the events like where the maps are obviously a little longer than what I'm personally used to, 40 to
Yeah.
50 seconds, and where you can know all of the maps. It's a lot less about how well you can perform on this one specific map, and much more about how you can perform consistently over the course of all of the maps. And yeah, I think you got that definitely.
I think so as well. Like, very confident, as I said. Chris, you
So-
wanted to say something? No?
Yeah, you were saying about there's no like standout teams that are performing incredibly well. Do you think that there were in stage 1, or do you think that everyone stepped it up for stage 2 and everyone's just at a good level? Or do you think like, because last time we saw BDS, they were, to my surprise at least, performing incredibly well. It seemed like they were beating everyone each week. This stage, not so much.
Yeah. Well, I guess as part of like Afi looked like the best player in stage 1. Like, at least in regular season, he looked like by far the best player. His consistency and just pace was unreal. So if you have someone who just like almost every round gets first, it's very hard to lose a match.
Yeah.
Like,
I find the player cams quite interesting to watch during the streams when there are player cams. There's some teams who seem to be having a lot of fun, smiling, laughing, joking. When there's a bad round, they're not too down. They're kind of encouraging each other. Like Alliance and Solari. They seem pretty jovial most of the time. Afi seems pretty angry when the rounds don't go their way, or like frustrated like with himself or with the team or something like that. I find it interesting to watch those player camps, see what the mood's like in the camp.
yeah, I like them as well. I'm glad they finally are here. And let's be honest, they should have been, there from the get-go, but I guess it's also like they gotta figure out some steps just during the thing. So I'm just glad they are here because it's cool to see the reactions of the players. Also, it brings you like closer to people and like I don't know, like just a way to root for people. Like you see Afi being like somewhat mad, and you're like, dude, he's just like me.
Exactly.
And it's cool to see. I'm very happy about that.
I mean, it's when they crash down, like, oh, they're just like me. They're also human.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I for one am definitely hoping for a strong performance from Big in the playoffs, considering well, not the comments, but the predictions that were made at the start of stage about before stage 2, because I mean I was not a big believer, no pun intended, but yeah, I think this season has shown really how probably competitive Trackmania is going to change from stage to stage, and I wanted to know maybe if the map pack had an influence on that, because we've seen teams like not perform at all compared to the did in stage 1. Like as we were saying, BDS like were incredible stage 1. Now stage 2 they've been quite underwhelming. Sinners have started showing up. Do you think that's a form thing, or do you think it might be something else that leads to that?
Well, I think it's 100% like map related. And obviously, like for Sinners, they started kind of weak, and they got somewhat of a free win with ITB. And just that one win, like, can shift your mental so much that they actually like start to believe in themselves again, and they just nailed the end of the season. And for maps, I think yes, because previous maps, stage 1, a lot of maps had like jumps at the end. And if you like need perfect speed for a jump, you can't really save that. So even if you are ahead by like a bit, or your opponent crashes, you still have to like full risk the ending to actually make it. And this one, like at least identity wise, is a lot more about like driving, less jumps. So you can actually release, you can do it slower. So the actual pace on the map is a lot more important. And that's why I also think we do so well, because like Massa might not be like the most consistent, but he's for sure up there with pace. Like he's one of the fastest. And that Benne like helps us a lot, that we are like able to save if it's necessary.
Yeah, it
that's
makes
always been my
sense.
frustration with TMWT. It's like the pace isn't like the true difference maker.
I think for this season it is. Like, you still might not like the identities and the way it's built. I'm personally also not the biggest fan of it. But we have the same background kind of, Chris, so I guess it's expected that we don't like it. But it do be like more like pace. Like pace matters now. To like you also see way less crashes at the ending, where like people fall off something. It still sometimes happens on some maps, but most of the time it's like you're forced to risk, and then mistakes obviously happen. I don't know. I like it that way. The maps are like way cooler. I personally like really enjoy like 6 or 7 out of the 10 maps. So
you've been playing them?
Yes and no. I play part maps, like if I can help the guys.
Okay.
Like whatever parts where like Massa was asking at some point on one map if like this like 2 different lines basically, which one is faster. So I just no life a 20-second map for like 2 hours and tried whatever is like faster.
That sounds like a very you thing to do.
Dude, also fun fact, there's the vortex start, right, with the no steer over the moving block.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the season, Spec tweeted that he had like a thread for CP, and if teams wanted, feel free to reach out. And even though I'm like 99% sure he's trolling, I still played the like first 10 seconds of the map for like 2 hours or an hour, just to see if there's like something. At the end, I didn't find anything. No. But just to be sure, like just to people believe. No, Speedy, but I would be mad if there would be something and we don't have it.
This is why you're the coach, right? So you do these things that the players don't want to do, so that they don't have to.
Yeah, basically.
Real quick, one thing I did remember just now. If you know Icy campaign, the World Tour maps have also been converted to ice. So to anyone who wants to check that out, they are not good.
Good.
feel like that's
No, I just
the worst
remembered that. I
advert
just
I've
wanted to
personally
throw
ever
that. No, Matinator put way too much time into converting them, and they're horrible. But like they're the kind of horrible where you can't stop looking at them. So
Like an
I don't know,
accident.
I just remembered
It
this.
shouldn't have
this
happened.
thing. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's good you mentioned that though, because I can imagine there might be one person in the chat who'd be thinking that they'd enjoy those maps. And to be fair, I have a few names in my
Real
head.
quick,
I feel like that's
I can
something Walshy
tell you
would
where
do.
you can find them. There's a Trackmania club called the 34% community. You'll find them in there probably. So check it out if you, for some reason, want to play that.
Yeah.
If you enjoy torture, feel free to check it out.
Oh, yeah, Nairuko Type 1. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you say that, Emma, but I mean, I can just look back to like yesterday or the day before, and you spent how many hours playing World of Wampus?
Hi, yeah. Some. Maybe, like 1 or 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Per checkpoint, right? How many
that
have there
was-
been now?
That was Avnia's fault.
Apnea Type 1 in chat.
Apnea quit Trackmania a year and a half ago on Wampus 3 at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Said he was done with the Trackmania community. Here he is, still in chat.
Yep.
No, I do like people who are true to their word and say I'm done with this, and then just actually never show up again.
Yeah, it's
It
difficult to
can't
do.
be a Trackmania player, because every Trackmania player needs like at least retire 2 times to be like considered a Trackmania player.
Just take a 9-year break. Totally normal.
I only did 5, Chris. I only did 5.
Is retiring from Trackmania 2 times is that the golden standard?
Yeah,
Would you
basically.
What if you retired for 15 years and then you suddenly come back to streaming?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, 15 years counts as 2, right?
I mean, for me, that's 3 because for anybody who might not have seen it, Xenogear, who is an OG of OGs, is back streaming Trackmania on his YouTube channel. He's actually live right now, which is quite cool on YouTube.
Isn't he World Champion 2-7 or something?
2007. And just for people to get an idea of how long ago that is, even though I'm sure you can count. In the Irish community, we asked Hotswat if he knew about him, and he said, "No, he's before my time."
That's impressive.
Which just goes to show how OG Xenogear is. But he is playing again. Unfortunately, he's playing campaign, so it's not a great advertisement of what the game can be.
I must say, when he won in 2007, I was 5 years old. So, yeah.
I think you've made a lot of people feel quite old right there.
Yeah, I think. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the topics I wanted to continue on from after playoffs is, I mean, chronologically going is World Cup. Because obviously you guys being in TMGL, you're going to be qualified for World Cup. And if I'm honest, we haven't actually had many details about what's going to happen with World Cup. I saw SRK saying that he's not even sure either, which is a little bit worrying. I mean, have you guys, as one of the big teams, heard anything about what might be going on with World Cup?
Yeah, we are like in constant like talks with Softy and the whole team. But yeah, I obviously cannot share what is planned and what is not planned and whatnot.
Of course you can. This is a private call.
Yeah.
It's just the 4 of us. Don't worry.
But no,
we're not recording you.
We usually know about things when they are happening and what is gonna happen.
Well, I guess we just gotta stay excited and look forward to what's coming then,
and hope that it doesn't clash with all of the community stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about what's going to happen, and I kind of want to have a little bit of a preview of what might happen. Well, first of all, on Big's side, it has to be one of your main objectives of the season. I mean, being a world champion in Trackmania is an incredible achievement, and you are remembered for that. I mean, we just mentioned Xenogear, who is remembered for being world champion in 2007. And interestingly, this year you can have a double world champion because the format is duo. So, what's your guys' expectations for that, and how seriously are you treating the upcoming World Cup?
As seriously as stage 2 right now. Like we will try hard as much for World Cup as we do now. That's why also XP Evo might be not the highest priority at the time.
It makes sense. Makes sense as well. Yeah. I mean, especially for two German players. I mean, you guys are really representing the German community quite a lot, especially with Ratchet and Babz not competing in TMCL this season. How good would it feel for you as a German player, as a German coach, coaching two German players for a German org and winning the World Cup?
I mean, it would be amazing because I like. Wait, okay, I do like I drive off or drift off a bit. I don't think we have like great talent in Germany right now. We obviously do, but not like the way it's set up.
That's a
There's
Yeah.
no, we do, but we don't like do it like you do in the British Irish scene, where we have like the whole like the British Irish League, the Cup, and all those like little community events where people can just like slowly improve at their own pace and just kind of match up with better players. We don't have that in Germany. We just play our team tournament. We're like, yeah, I am in shift, you know? Like we at shift try to do our job and do like have a second team where people can like comfortably improve. But there's still a league missing. So that we have two top tier German players actually at the very top is something, you know, we can be quite lucky about. Because let's be honest, you guys at the British also only have one right now. So.
I was going to say it was another statement saying that BITM do it better than Germany.
I mean, they do, in my opinion.
But isn't there that one event organized by Hector, I think, as well?
In 2020, yeah. Or 2021, whatever it was.
I mean, very technically, XP Evo and stuff, but I wouldn't quite count that as in the same league of what British Irish Championship is, because that is much more of a local event, while XP Evo, though it is in Germany, is going to have people from all over the world. So I think it's not quite comparable there.
Also, it's a LAN, so it's like,
yeah,
I don't know, it's like 3 steps above where we should start for like German players.
Just instantly LAN.
Yeah.
So you think the German community is lacking kind of the grassroots, kind of the path to
yes, absolutely.
path to pro? You've just got a lot of really, really talented players, but they just kind of pop up individually via a team rather than having the kind of the pipeline.
Yeah, there's nothing really. Like we had that one, like the German Cup by what was he called, Hector?
Yeah.
But also like I don't know. He also organized a bunch of other tournaments, and I think it's good. But I'd rather have it that like a German guy organizes a German tournament where like the guy who organizes is as invested as all the players in there.
I mean,
we will see
there's only one way to make that happen.
Well, I suppose I can see if Split can whip something up, but nothing in the near future, if anything.
Now, technically, I know the right people to like organize it, but I'm also like, or the other people are also busy, you know. Like, I eventually maybe go in, you know, ask Trilux if we could make something like that happen, and he like cast it. But we'll see in the future. First, we have our own, you know, like I'm busy with Big and everyone else has their own little things. But maybe in 2024 we can work on things.
Yeah, it would be nice
don't
to
mind
see.
me. Don't mind me shilling for my own team here, but if at Split we also have a bunch of people who did the event organization. So
Conversely, if you guys could not host German grassroots tournaments and produce even more amazing German players, that would be preferable for us.
I mean, the best would be if like every country does that and we just have like stacked competition, no?
Yeah.
I was going to say, arguably, okay, sure.
Yeah, because I think you produced some quite good players in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this young guy called Xephyr who's playing quite well recently. I mean, is coming through the ranks. No,
he might even have opened the game once in the last month.
Chris, how old are you again?
Next question.
You're like in the prime of your Trackmania community play.
Yeah, yeah.
Second prime, basically.
Second retirement.
Or third.
Guys, I need to mention this idea I just got. So imagine you have a country championship where all of the top players from every country compete against each other, and then the top 2 players form duos, and then you have European, where those duos now battle it out against each other. I think that would be epic.
Yeah. One of my favorite things in the game is country-based tournaments. TSCC, although it used campaign maps, was really, really engaging, and it's one of the things that helped grow our Discord server so much. So that every time it came around, every 3 months, we would have the 4 or 5 countries trying to put a team together, pushing each other to learn the maps and get into lineup 1 or lineup 2 or whatever. And yeah, I was disappointed when it went away. Another country-based tournament would be very welcome, I think.
Can I rant real quick?
Yep.
So TSCC is back now, right?
Yeah.
And it's on the TMGL finals weekend, so I cannot play. I'm really mad about it because it was my favorite tournament, like in Team 2020.
Wait,
I always enjoyed
really on
it.
The same weekend. I thought he hosted it like to avoid any conflicts.
Oh, well, it's not at the same time, but like, imagine I'm in Berlin at the office and I'm like, we do warm up or whatever, and I'm like, guys, I can't. Listen, I gotta beat the UKs first,
No,
like
TSCC is the warm up. All three of you enter the TSCC team. That's your warm up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would love to see the whole big lineup on that ice map right before playoffs. That'd be quite the sight.
I gotta say, get fired, speedrun any percent.
Gotta say though, scheduling an event is probably the next to the whole organization part, one of the harder parts, is because you'll be conversing with other people doing the event, and you just be like, how does 29th sound? They'll be like, no, actually there's another event going on there, we can't do it that day. But then you're just kind of you finally find that time spot, especially for bigger events that take like a week, 2 or 3 weeks even, where you definitely need want to avoid any big events, especially if you know you're going to have skilled players attending.
Yeah, it's tricky, especially with the World Tour schedule. The World Tour schedule takes up a lot of time.
Yeah,
you just have to decide.
One of the...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, as an admin, you just have to decide what the players that will be entering your thing care about, and whether you can then overlap with other things. Which is easy for us because it's all British and Irish players, so the stuff that they're going to be entering it's not super broad, so we can conflict with some things.
No, fair. No, it's also one of at least personally, I don't know if my org shares the same thing, but I think the World Tour, the whole circuit, is slightly too long.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you do 2 stages, have a bigger summer break where people can also organize, or just people or players get breaks. I don't know. I feel like it's slightly too long. But it's the first time, so
Yeah, this is what my next question was actually going to be.
Figure it out.
It leads quite nicely into it because World Tour, like I think a lot of people are very happy to have it because it gives the game an actual competitive ecosystem. But then again, it's really limiting the amount of community events that can be pushed forward, and that these tier 1 players or even coaches can participate in, because it takes up so much time. And we mentioned in the previous episode with Bren about having some sort of like diversity, throughout the year, maybe having some events, that are focused on one specific style that are really pushed to sort of a tier 1 level, or tier 1 at least, as far as you can push it. But how do you think, kind of, firstly as yourself, but maybe big as an org, would approach a season where you have World Tour, where it's kind of the main league and it leads to the World Cup, but alongside that you have plenty of other events, kind of like you have similarly in other esports, like in CS:GO you'd have Blast and you'd have ESL, and if you had more diversity within that competition.
Like personally, I think it would be cool, but also the thing that separates like our esport from others is just that our maps change constantly. Let's say CS:GO, you have the same maps over and over, so it doesn't, like, you can literally not play the map for like a month and still have like all your setups and everything. While for TM, if there's another tournament, you still, you gotta learn a new map and be ready on that, and it's a lot. Like, preparation for a tournament is a lot. So
Yeah.
I don't know how well it would work, but I'm personally very open to that. Would be sick. Just in
I
general,
feel-
more stuff.
Sorry, Chris, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, in I think 2021 or a year or so ago, SRK tried to do something like that with the consistent map pack. I think it was like a full speed mixed and tech map packs. That it didn't really take off. I think they used it for some solo one day tournaments. It didn't really take off, but I would love to see tournament organizers in Trackmania sharing map packs for a 3 months at a time, or whatever it would be, and then you could have as many tournaments as you want for different regions or internationally or whatever, and the load on the players playing them wouldn't be quite so high, quite so tough.
Yeah, I agree. Also, the thing what like SRK always tries is like to have everyone involved. So he does take a speed map, he does take an ice map, but let's be honest, like all the top tier players are not interested in that at all. Like they see there's like a full speed map and they're like, yeah, whatever, I'm not gonna play that. So even though he tries to have everyone involved, I feel like we should just have like a standard and be like, yeah, mixed is just the way to go. So we built like 5 top tier mixed maps, or 10 or whatever.
Well, these were
and don't have it
separate
like
map packs. Sorry, I probably explained it badly, but there were separate map packs: a tech map pack and a comp map pack and a like a full speed map pack. And the idea was that tournaments could dip into those and go, we're going to use these 4 maps from this shared map pack. But you need buy-in, and instead of just starting that and hoping people pick it up, I think you need buy-in from a good chunk of the organizers in the community before you can do something like that.
Yeah. Also, it would like potentially could clash with sponsors.
Yeah.
Like whatever tournament has a sponsor, they want obviously their name on that. So like there would still be like work to do and maybe adjust the maps for like sponsors and for every tournament. And I can see it work, but it's been like, or people try it since like 2018, where we have like ESAC, ESAC. I don't know how it's pronounced, but they also had like a global map pack, and it wasn't really used. So I don't know. It's been tried and never picked up.
My personal opinion about it is the different creative mapping ideas and stuff is a big part of the community. So I feel like it's nice to have so many different maps, especially like competition in the competitions and differing maps there. But I do see how like some of the more skilled tournament players, or like people that play in events very, very often, would obviously prefer not having to learn a new set of maps every second month.
Oh, it's not even that. Even in the same
can see it.
competition in EMC, there were 3 new maps a week this time.
Yeah.
Like, if
Oh,
anyone with a
God.
job, anyone that has studies, you just can't learn those maps. And that's just one tournament. Never mind the other things that are on at the same time that you might want to enter.
For
Yeah.
me, the good part was I helped out Split's academy team for this season of EMC, and well, what I did, I always picked one of the maps, and I was like, I will play this one. So you guys go ahead and learn the others. I don't care. I will play this one no matter what style, like if it's 1v1, 2v2, 4v4. So that worked for me, but it was also the only competition I was playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think you come out of those sorts of events, especially like they're 5-6 weeks long, where it's extremely draining. I mean, you come out of it. Like myself, I played every single week of EMC. I hadn't planned to originally before the start of the competition, but I played every single week, and I put my all into every single map I played. You come out of it at the end really like, oh, I kind of need a break from just the serious play the whole time, which is disappointing because there might be an event coming up like a week later, and then you're thinking, well, I'm not actually too sure about taking part in this. But I think you mentioned like World Tour, it's been good for Trackmania. There's been more positives than negatives, and as you said, it's only year one, and there's plenty to come in the future. I'm hoping things will kind of balance themselves out, like all of the issues that people are highlighting at the moment. So like the busy schedule, maybe issues with the maps and stuff. Slowly and surely they'll simmer down. But do you have any specific or personal ideas that you think going into year two, into 2024, could improve TM World Tour as a competitive ecosystem?
Well, what
More
I
tech.
mentioned before. Nah. It's whatever. Style doesn't matter. Okay, I want more matches. I said that before. Personally, I would love to have more teams in there. What else would be like cool? Like shorter, the whole circuit, like slightly shorter. What else? There's probably like some more things. What I would like, even though I speak on my side and not for my org right now. I would enjoy relegation.
Yeah.
So people have like an actual path, because I feel like TMCL level right now is very bad, like very, very bad. And I guess it's part of that you're like just stuck in that league for now. Like unless an org picks you up, you're like there's no way for you to progress.
It's also
As
that
far as I
a
know.
lot of the really great players in the community don't want to play those maps. So it's not that you can say the top 32 are actually the top 32 in the game. It's just the top 32 people who are willing to play those maps. So maybe the skill gap is bigger than it otherwise would be if the maps were more enjoyable.
Yeah, but there's always gonna be those people. Like at the end, if you're like a great player, you adapt and you play whatever map is there. At the end, like if you want to become great and want to make it your job, you can't just play what you enjoy. Like
I mean,
to be like that.
I have to say personally, I feel like the identities have become a little too much to some extent, where the identities aren't focusing enough on playability and a little too much on how fun they are actually to watch. Which I know it's the point of the identities, but I think they should be made a little more accessible. Yeah.
Sorry, you were making a great point about promotion and relegation, and I derailed it by talking about maps, as I often do when TMWT comes up.
Yeah, well, that you and for the record, I don't like the maps. Like that's pretty clear, and we both like know that. But
yeah,
at the end, like if you're a good player, you adapt and you just play those maps and you do well on them because you are a good player. And there's like if you enjoy it or not, unlucky. And at the end, it's a game. But at like that level, people get paid salary and everything. it's not just a game, it's your job or like part-time job or whatever. So you just play the maps. And if you're like not willing to do that, fair enough, that's your,
Yeah, I think
your
the point
thing
was more
then.
making that there's so many good players who aren't even bothering to even try and enter because of the maps. So what could the level in Challenger League be? What could the level in Grand League be if all of the top players were trying? It's a thought experiment. It's probably never going to happen, but yeah, interesting.
Yeah, but you think different maps would change because like you change maps and maybe the players that are in now were like, nah, we don't like the new maps.
Then you can use the same argument saying, well, if you play everything that you like.
Yeah, of course, but like, would it change if you like just change the players around? Like, I don't know.
But I think
I
this
would like
is
the
where
biggest pool of players possible. I would like the most
I
the
agree.
most generally
I agree.
appealing maps as possible, the biggest pool of players possible, so that we know that the competition we're seeing week in, week out is as close and as enjoyable as it could be, and that the skill gap between Grand League and Challenger isn't maybe as big as it is right now.
Well, it's I like a year ago or like half a year ago, I would have like agreed with you, but now like since I see the other side and I'm basically in the whole like ecosystem, like at the end we also gotta produce a show, right? Like it's not just for the players. The players obviously have to enjoy it somewhat, and I think the format change was very good for like players to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
if
really
you
like the
like,
format.
if you are competitive and like it, then yes, you will kind of at least enjoy the format. If you don't like the maps, you enjoy the format because it's fun to play. But at the end, it's like, with every sport or whatever, spectators have to like it as well.
Right. Yeah. But one thing I will definitely agree with is promotion relegation is vital, because not only just for the pipeline of getting people through into the higher leagues, also for the jeopardy of who's going to drop out. Like, people are playing to avoid relegation, as opposed to it doesn't matter because we're going to be in next stage anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I know why it's done like that. Like, if you're an org, it's very hard to like buy in the whole thing, pay your players like full-time salary, and then like after a season you drop out because your players don't perform. Like, it's hard to get invested into that as an org. So security for the org is like, I guess, important-ish to like get people like buy in the whole thing. But for like a competitive level, I think promotion relegation would be good. Also, in a perfect world, by the way, TMCL would also be like paid full time.
Yeah.
Like you have full time TMCL, and then obviously TMGL like paid even more amount. But so the whole ecosystem could technically work, and you would like get a bit of money in regionals already. So there's also incentive for people to play, and then you slowly kind of like have the ability at least to rank up. I would really like that. In a perfect world, it would work. But yeah, so far until now, we're like still too small of an esport. But a man can dream.
And I
One
mean,
day.
Trackmania is growing very fast, I feel like, as an esports scene, especially in it's ever since 2020's release. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities.
I think there's a lot of people probably who have that same dream, and at least personally, I can see a path where the esports scene continues to develop. And for me, the only kind of thing that is going to decide whether it does develop fast or doesn't develop at all is going to be the backing that it gets, either from the DAO or from any third-party organizers, but most likely from the DAO. So yeah, I'm looking forward to at least the competitive scene developing, more people in the community getting opportunities, more players getting opportunities to compete, and just in general having a more complete competitive scene, and more competitive and more attractive competitive scene in the future. I think everybody would be happy to see that. Yeah, I think we've pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover today. I don't know if you guys, Ben or Chris, have you any more questions for Amma?
Hit me, Chris.
Nothing.
Hit me.
Amma, do you have any questions for us?
Well, Chris didn't want to share his age. Babz, what was your reasoning for put us last?
Oh,
Blame Birdie.
I mean, like, we were three people in this decision, you know. I was merely a host in that situation, and I was giving Jorday and Birdie the opportunity to express their opinions on the situation. And I really hope you don't go back and look
At least
at
it wasn't recorded.
No, but I think even though that is quite funny to look at, I think it's just nice, first of all, as somebody who's passionate about esports on Trackmania, to be able to have those conversations. Like that we have a scene now where I can do predictions and it can look ridiculous at the end of the season, but it's funny because we have competitive Trackmania.
No, fair point. I also did before stage 1 predictions, and I put BDS at 7th, and they won the regular season. So I also look stupid in that. So it do be like that. I don't know if Chad or someone has a question still.
Yeah, and I know Speedy had a lot of questions, but
yeah, we ignore Speedy.
He always says.
Good focus.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything popping up. I mean, I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to talk to you again in the future. I really hope we do. It's been really enjoyable to discuss everything around yourself, Big, and Trackmania in general. I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. Even though it was a bit, yeah.
It was well planned in advance.
Yeah, of course, as usual. So, nah,
it was well planned and not planned, well planned.
I feel honored to be asked, and maybe after we win TMGL, I'll join again. Copium.
Well, if we do any playoffs predictions, I'll definitely be putting you guys first this time. And then, I mean, you'll probably be last then in playoffs, so I don't know.
Keep it then last, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, yeah. We like it there. Don't worry.
Germany like being the underdogs. Okay, yeah, well, Chris, Ben, thank you so much for joining me as well as host today. We send a little message to Nua back home who might be watching. Hopefully he's sleeping peacefully and recovering nicely. Yeah, that's all we had time for today. I don't think there's any more really to mention. Maybe go check out Xenogear, who might be streaming currently on YouTube, and give him some support. But other than that, it's been very enjoyable. That was episode 13 of the Cuppa The Day podcast. As always, you'll be able to catch the VOD on YouTube. It'll be uploaded in the coming days. And yeah, we'll catch you again next Wednesday with another guest, some more interesting discussions, and some more smiles on our faces. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.